Alrighty, so we got the big CONCACAF Nations League Final between U.S. and Mexico that's going to be starting in just a bit, and I'm definitely going to be doing a review of that game. This just enough time for me to do the recap in terms of the first six games that happened in match week number 5, and tomorrow, of course, I'll look at the remaining 7 games that happened in match week number 5. And one thing that I've seen in terms of this match week, lots and lots of stoppage time. And this is kind of crazy in terms of this week where the amount of stoppage time in some of these games kind of almost rival the stoppage time amount we've seen in the World Cup in 2022. And at least that had a reason for it because, in the World Cup, it seems like they will really emphasize the fact that any times that was wasted during regulation, they're going to definitely tack it on into stoppage time. But it doesn't seem like that was was what MLS wanted to tell these replacement referee because it's crazy how there's some of these games that were lost stoppage time, including one of them. There was like 17 minutes of stoppage time in one of these games. But that being said, let us begin with talk about the first of the 6 games, which is New England and the Chicago Fire. And also, this is a bit of a spoiler in terms of part 2 of this match week number 5 review. Every team have now got a point into the season, and that of course include New England, of course they were one of the 2 team, along with the Quakes, are the only team to yet to register a point, but they finally able to get it in this game against Chicago. But unfortunately, they're still winless in this one as they only got a 1-1 draw out of this game. First of all, maybe 500 fans show up in this game. I mean, that's what happened when you don't have a single point to show for, and also the weather in Boston. Well, actually, not Boston, but Foxborough to be exact, is pretty miserable throughout this game. So basically, no one showed up in this game whatsoever. And not that really the game was kind of interesting, at least in the first 15 minutes, because, their shots were only one apiece throughout the first 15 minutes of this game. Hugh would then puts it high on the free kick before the 20th minute. Surprisingly, despite not having a lot of shots, and really only on the second shot that Chicago has, they would score. It's Hugo Kuipers. He scored from Herberts to make it 1-0 in favor of the Fire. So this is definitely good news for Chicago fans, seeing their DP number 9 start to score in consecutive game. Kuipers, of course, scored in the last game. Now he scored again in this one to give Chicago a 1-0 lead. Kessler then looked for a response, but he puts this one wide there, and then Acosta would puts it high on the free kick in the 33rd minute. I thought the weather seems like an indictment of how this game was. I mean, it was a very sloppy game, and I think this game also kind of is an indictment of how both of these teams have not got off to a good start to the season as well, because there were times where the passing was very sloppy, and just both of these teams at times just look like a team that are is the reason why they are near the bottom of the Eastern Conference. There was a shout for a penalty for Chicago, but instead Gutierrez gets booked for a simulation. So something tells me he's going to get a call from Disco on Tuesday in terms of getting fined for a simulation. But then in the fourth minute of stoppage time, New England ties the game up. It's Nacho Hill, the one that ties the game up at 1 apiece, and that is one that Richie wants to have back. I mean, he allowed a juicy rebound. Whenever you allow a juicy rebound like what Spencer Richie does, that's most time or not, that's going to be punished. And Nacho Hill was there to take advantage of that juicy rebound, and the game was all tied up at 1 apiece. Now in the second half, Grony would puts it high in the near post, just like majority of the first half. Chances were really at a premium, as there was rarely any chances created by either team, mostly because both of these teams were very sloppy going for on the attack. Edward Jr. then denied Kutsias after he almost went full Glace here, as he was trying to kick the ball upfield. It was blocked by Kutsias, but he did make up for it in terms of making a save. I don't know what is it with this season. Goalkeepers decided to kick the ball upfield and it's blocked by the opposition. I mean, you could say that good credit to the attacker in terms of putting pressure, but I argue it's just that I've seen some of these goalkeepers being way too cute in terms of just putting the ball up the pitch. Don't take a touch. Boot the ball up the pitch, because when the opposition decide to press and decide to close things down, yeah, you're gonna have these kind of moments like what we saw here. But I also thought because again, it just feels like it's very sloppy. Seems like both of these teams are trying to gift wrap each other 3 points in this game. Heel would then took a shot, but it hits right to Richie, and this is Carlos Heel the one that of course took the shot. And then Shankalai would hits one that was tipped over by Richie. Harks then hits one right to Richie in the 87th minute, as I thought the Revs were pressing to try to get the lead and trying to get their first win of the season. But it was not meant to be, as in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw on this one. 13 shots committed, 9 that Chicago has, 2 shots on goal committed, 4 that New England has, 2 shots off target committed, 4 that Chicago has, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 6 that New England has, and possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that Chicago has in this one. So like I said, for New England, good news is they finally got off the schneid and get their first point of the season. The bad news is they're still winless, and after this performance, I don't think Revs fan will still be too happy in terms of how the start of the season has gone. And as for Chicago, I mean, I guess they'll be happy with the point, but they'll definitely be kicking themselves because of the way that the goal they conceded was because of a bad mistake by the goalkeeper. And you could maybe argue if Chris Brady was in goal for this, he probably would have easily saved that and not allow a juicy rebound to give grab New England the equalizer in this game. That being said, moving on in the next match, is the Red Bulls versus Inter Miami. So it turns out this game did play because I've said in the preview that there was a threat that this game could be postponed to another day because of inclement weather. But while there was a lot of rain in this game, and that's kind of also is the reason why the stands were a little bit empty because of how heavy the rain is. I think Red Bulls fan won't care, and especially the Red Bulls won't care the fact that this game was not postponed because yeah, this was the Lewis Morgan personal vendetta game against his former team, and he scored straight away just 3 minutes into this game from Van Zier to make it 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. And I also would like to say this is the Dante Van Zier kind of coming out party game as well, because as much as I know Morgan would eventually credit the hat trick, and just a little spoiler alert, Van Zier also so not only registered a hat trick of assists, but he actually registered 4 assists in this game, and that's I don't remember the last time I've seen a player that is able to register 4 assists in a single game. And of course, Lewis Morgan, he did not celebrate against his former team. I mean, I know I said he has a personal vendetta against his former team, but Lewis Morgan is a very kind player. He even said in the press conference he has nothing against his former team, and he's actually he actually talked some positive things about his former team coming into this match. But that being said, in the 5th minute, Suarez did try to respond instantly, but he hits it right to Mera. It's hard to believe Ryan Mera is still around in this league, and that's also another story I think is going to be hidden under the rug. The fact that Ryan Mera, even though he's been the backup goalkeeper for the Red Bulls for this long, I mean he is still there, and that I really think eventually, if there one day when Ryan Mera eventually retire from the Red Bulls should at least do a big ceremony for this, because for a guy that's been around for a very long time now, and that usually backup goalkeeper doesn't last for that long, but the fact that he's been lasting for that long with the team, even though he hasn't been playing a lot for the Red Bulls, he definitely deserves some recognition of him just being with this club for a very long time. I mean, he was with this club when they still had the likes of Thierry Henry and Tim Cahill on this Red Bulls team all the way back in the early 2010s. We then go for a period where not much really happened, as the shots were one apiece through 20 minutes into this game. Alba would then puts it high from close range before Suarez would miss wide from close in the 27th minute, as Miami was pushing to try to get the equalizer. But then Van Zier would miss wide from close range. Well, Van Zier has definitely stayed in. It seems like he kind of realized that, hey, if I can't score, why not just set up my teammate, because that's just as good as scoring, isn't it? Even though I know as a number 9, he should be the player that to be known for more of his goal scoring. But hey, I mean, if you're able to set up your team, mate, and able to put up the assist number that he put up in this game, I think he should be proud. I'm pretty sure Red Bulls fans are going to be proud of the performance he put in, because again, this is easily probably his best performance he has had in a Red Bull shirt. And then he puts it just wide from close in the 31st minute before Amaya puts it wide from close in the 43rd minute, and now it seems like the Red Bulls were looking lively to try to get that second goal. We do head to halftime with the Red Bulls leading 1-0. In the second half, they waste no time to make it 2-0, as in the 51st minute, it's Lewis Morgan. He scored from Van Zier to make it 2-0 in favor of the Red Bulls, and then he was immediately looking for his hat trick just 1 minute later, but he missed wide from close range. Safe to say that, yeah, Morgan definitely had his coming out party and had his personal vendetta game against his former team because yeah, he was all over that Miami backline in this one. In the 62nd minute, Dos Santos would deny Duncan from 17 yards out before Campana would head a weak shot wide in the 64th minute. But then 1 minute later, Wiki Carmona would score from Van Zier to make it 3-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. So yeah, that's a hat trick of assists for Van Zier. And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I feel like people need to cherish in terms of when a player score a hat trick of assists, almost the same as it is when a player score a hat tricks of goal because you usually don't see that this happen where in terms of a player registering a hat trick of assists. And what you also don't see is a player registering 4 assists because in the 69th minute, nice, Lewis Morgan would score his hat trick from Dante Vincier to make it 4-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. So this is also another rare thing we see where we see the same player scoring and assisting by the same player 3 times in a game. I mean, that alone is just impressive, and that again just shows you how in this game both of those guys were definitely dialed in, and that they also say, oh, wait, who's email Frostberg? We don't really need email for Frostberg to really be successful throughout this game though. Don't take that as an actual thing because email Forsberg is still big for this Red Bulls team, but he wasn't available in this game because of international duty. But that being said, in the 75th minute, Allen did put the ball into the back of the net and give the Red Bulls one back. The problem was the goal was disallowed because there was a foul on the development of the attack, and I think it was Noah Allen, the one that commits a foul on development of attack, so that goal didn't count. Alfonso then missed wide from long range before Suarez missed wide from close. Miami was looking to get a consolation in this one. They don't get it. In the end, it's a dominant. Red Bulls went 4-0 against Inter Miami. Shots in this one, 13 shots compared to 8 that Miami has. 2 shots on goal compared to 6 that the Red Bulls had. 4 shots off target compared to 5 that Miami has. No shots that was blocked for the 2 that the Red Bulls had. And possession-wise, they didn't actually show it on the league website. So I had to Google it in terms of what is actually the possession. But the possession is 70% compared to 30% possession that the Red Bulls has, which that kind of checks out because Miami is known to be a possession team, and also the Red Bulls is also a team that's not known for possession because of the style that they play. But yeah, the Red Bulls, what a response this is after just getting hammered by Columbus 1 week. They coming into this game despite being shorthanded put up a 4 spot against an Inter Miami team that I don't think there should be that much concern after this one because again they were missing some key pieces throughout the roster. But I will say that defense, yeah, I mean that defense, yes, I think of all the key pieces that they missed, the defense wasn't really one part that they really missed too much pieces in terms of players on international duty, and I think that maybe is a concern because I've said this before with this Inter Miami team, and I know Inter Miami fans are probably tired of hearing me saying, but I'm still very concerned about this defense. This defense has not been good whatsoever this season, and I don't think it's a caliber of a defense that potentially could consider to be MLS Cup contender. And I know Miami fans are gonna disagree with that, and they'll basically potentially show me a trophy when they do win one. But again, this is a game, and we have seen in other games it just shows you the biggest weakness for this Inter Miami team, and maybe one that could hold them back in terms of being a cup contender in MLS this season. But that being said, moving on in the next match. Oh boy, we almost had another fail Mary game here between Charlotte versus Columbus because yeah, let's just say refereeing decision in this game was almost as bad as the one between the Chicago Fire and Montreal, and all the drama happened in the first half too. Early on, it actually took 3 times for this game to be kicked off because there was 2 false start in this one. That turns out to be a bit of a foreshadowing of what we will see in this incredibly long first half. But in the second minute, Cucho would miss just wide on the curler, and I thought that was a warning shot for Charlotte too because Cucho is red hot and He knows that if he get another chance like that, that's gonna be in the back of the net. Ajiman then hits one into the side netting before Rossi would hit the post from close range. But then in the 18th minute, Camacho had to be subbed off due to injuries, and Derek Jones, of course, would replace him. Spoiler alert: Jones would not be in for this game for long against his former team. But in the 22nd minute, Ramirez had to be subbed off due to injury. So yeah, already some early concern for Columbus. I mean, they were coming in a little bit shorthanded in this game as well, but now the injury bug is starting to hit them, and that Armstead basically replace him. And I said before that even though I know Columbus is a very deep team, this is where their depth is going to be really be tested at its limit because losing those two guys that are very crucial to both on the defense and on the attack, yeah, this could be a bit of a problem. Also, by the way, one fan also didn't write it here is that Wilfred Nancy was not present in this. They mentioned that he was battling some sickness, so certainly I wish Wilfred Nancy well in terms of whatever sickness that he is battling. So that being said, as I said, Derek Jones, of course, coming on facing against his former team a couple minutes ago, well, he would get himself sent off in the 26th minute, and this is where we begin about some of the controversy with these calls because VAR deemed that his foul on Ginny is worthy of a red, and I mean I don't know. I mean I think that one, yes, on one hand when you look on the replay, it definitely looked like it was a bit of a studs of challenge that Jones commit on Ginny, but at the same time, it just feels like it kind of felt like it was kind of a soccer move, and that it just doesn't feel like there was just any intention whatsoever that he stepped on. It was kind of more like a mistimed kind of play where it's just unfortunate that Jones, as he was trying to get the ball, Jenny kind of slid in, and Jones kind of accidentally caught the studs of Jenny in this one, and that, yeah, I mean I think in my opinion that should have been just a yellow card. I think a red card was incredibly harsh, but that would be the beginning in terms of us talking about some controversial call in this game, especially in the first half. But there was no doubt that now Charlotte started to dictate the play because they're up a man, but they weren't really creating that much because there was a lot of stop and go on the attack. There was a lot of whistle in this one. There was no rhythm whatsoever into this game. We then, of course, get 10 minutes of stoppage time in the first half, and you thought that was long. Yeah, it turns out we played more than 10 minutes in this one. In the second minute of stoppage time, Vargas would puts it wide as the flag went up, and then Arfield had to be subbed off in the fourth minute of stoppage time with an injury as Tavares replaced him. And again, players were dropping down like flies. Like I don't know what is going on with that pitch at Bank of America Stadium. I mean, that is a pitch and a turf that is not known to cause a lot of injuries. But tonight, man, guys are just dropping like flies. There's just been so many injury substitution in this one. But that's not even the more craziest thing that we're about to see because in the 12th minute of stoppage time, yes, this is the 12th minute of stoppage time. There was no goal that was given to Columbus. I mean, the crew thought that they were up 1-0 as VAR deemed that there was an offside on the build-up. And I gotta say, we already saw the VAR kind of monitor for that call. I have no idea how they did not get a better angle in that. Like when I look at it with the angle that they showed, there was no way I could see that was it offside or not. I mean, that just, and it's not just the angle that they showed. We can even see it on the other angle and the screen that the referee was looking at. I have no idea how that is the only angle that they see. And what's even more crazy is that they said that angle was good enough to overturn the call. So yeah, again, it's kind of insane that of course was called back, and to this day I haven't even seen a better angle, or at least I even looking Reddit to see if someone posts a better angle in terms of that shot, and nobody has done so. So again, to this day, if you want to say that is clear and obvious based on that angle, I mean that's completely unjustified. So yeah, the goal of course still was chopped off, and then in the 60th minute, just as we thought that we don't have enough controversy, and if this half is not long enough, a penalty was given to Charlotte after Vargas was brought down by Yoboa in the box. I put brought down with quotation mark because that was not a penalty. That is probably the softest penalty I've seen given this season. And again, that's one that I thought they would go to VAR. And I understand that we play 60 minutes of stoppage time, and maybe the referee doesn't want to go to VAR because we're probably going to be playing into like the 20th or the 21st minute of stoppage time in the first half. But that's not a foul. Like that is not a penalty. I've seen that has happened most of the time. Like if that was a penalty, there probably would be at least 20 or 30 penalty that is given in a single game. But nevertheless, at least Tavares realized probably that obviously wasn't a penalty, and he decided to kind of pay tribute to the ball don't lie moment by basically blasting this one all the way to South Carolina. I mean, this was just not a great penalty whatsoever from Tavares. And again, Charlotte has had their problem in terms of converting in from the spot, and it just looked like Tavares was never comfortable in terms of taking this penalty. But also just a him kind of maybe paying tribute to the ball don't lie, and also paying tribute to that justice was definitely served. The fact that probably Charlotte didn't deserve to go 1-0 up, and Columbus was definitely getting screwed over by the referee in this one. But yeah, somehow, some way, after all the madness that has happened, it's 0-0 heading into the second half. And by the way, because the stoppage time was so long in this one, there were a couple of these games were already in the second half, and this game basically just gone to commercial in the first half. I mean, that's probably the first time I've ever seen when I look at the other games where it's already kicking off the second half, and then one of the game just finished the first half. That is. But we do go to the second half, and in the second half, things were a little bit more calmer in this game. Arvson would then puts it high from close range. It's been kind of a slow start with not much really happened, which I thought that favored Columbus, knowing that they clearly look like they may be playing for the 0-0 draw. Or were they? Because Rossi would hits the side netting in the near post before Arston would puts it high as the flag went up. And Columbus, again, despite being a man down, they were still being aggressive, especially on the transitional play, and look like maybe they could steal all 3 points in this one. But eventually, Charlotte does get the lead in this one. It's Ashley Westwood scoring from João Pedro to make it 1-0 in favor of Charlotte. Definitely contention for goal of the week because that was a great hit there from Ashley Westwood. And then in the 88th minute, Ajima makes sure it's all 3 points for Charlotte as he scored from Jenny here to make it 2-0 in favor of Charlotte. And that, of course, is the final score of this game. Shots in this one, 12 shots compared to 8 that Columbus had. No shots on goal for the 5 that Charlotte has. 4 shots off target for the 5 that Columbus had. 2 shots that was blocked for the 1 that Charlotte had. And possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Charlotte has in this game. And remember how I said before that it seems like this could be the last match we're going to see the replacement referee because it seems like Pro and their referees is going to vote on this ratification of the CBA, and if the vote goes through, then the referees from Pro is gonna not be locked out anymore. And I'm pretty sure everybody are hoping that is the case because yeah, we're gonna see these kind of games. That's gonna happen. We're gonna see these kind of fail Mary kind of game happen as long as the replacement referee is and that I just really hope that eventually the pro referees are not gonna be locked out anymore. I mean that's crazy to say for a guy that always criticized pro, but it's pretty clear that the replacement referee is not the answer, especially with so many of these controversial games that we've seen so far this season. That being said, moving on into the next game is Cincinnati and NYCFC. So yeah, this looked like it was a very typical Cincinnati game, at least early season. That is where despite they had their chances in this one, mostly they weren't able to put it away, and then they finally show one brilliant of moment able to dispatch NYCFC in this one. But in the 8th minute, Pupenza was in on goal in this one, but apparently he's not allowed to score a goal early this season because he is robbed by Freeze on a 1v1 opportunity. Oriano then puts one right to Freeze in the 12th minute, as I thought since he was on the front foot, they were looking for the opening goal in this one. Though on the other end, Julian Fernandez missed wide from long range in the 32nd minute, and then on the other end, Bear had a shot that was blocked by Risa. They did check to see whether or not if Risa handball this one as he make the block, but VAR says nope. Acosta then tried to go for Olympico here, but he missed that one high in the 45th minute, and we head to halftime with the score scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, this is when NYCFC started to play to their DNA, which is supposed to be a team that is known to dominate possession and dictate the game. Because after Sanitano denied Rodriguez on the header, they really started to control this game with all the possession. But unfortunately, unlike previous year where we see NYCFC have difference maker in terms of after controlling all these possession, we just haven't seen it in the last couple of years. And in the 57th minute, Cincinnati would get the opening goal. It's Lucho Acosta scoring from Corey Bear to make it 1-0 in favor of Cincinnati. And as much as this Cincy attack has been very toothless throughout the season, they still at times can show that magic that we've seen with Pat Nolan's team last year winning the Sports Show, because that looked like it was a prime Cincinnati uh, build up, just lovely build up on the attack that resort the reign MVP of getting the opening goal of this game. And yeah, like I said, 1-0 in favor of Cincinnati. NYCFC continued to dominate possession, but they didn't really find any space to work with against a very compact Cincy back line. Martinez would then hit one right to Sanitano before in the 84th minute. Santos was in on goal there, but just like Aaron Bupenza, Sergio Santos has been snake bitten, and unlike Aaron Bupenza, Sergio Santos has been snake bitten for Cincinnati for long. He's just not allowed to score a goal right now, and yeah, it was denied by Freeze in the 84th minute. But yeah, in the end, Cincinnati, they hold on to win 1-0 in this one. The shots in this one, not really a lot of shots, only 10 shots compared to 8 that NYCFC had. 4 shots on goal compared to 6 that Cincinnati has. 1 shots off target compared to 2 that NYCFC had. 2 shots on block compared to 3 that Cincinnati has, and possession wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that Cincinnati has in this game. And like I said, this game kind of feels very similar to last season, when early in the season we know that this is a Cincinnati team that really kind of struggled uh coming out of the gate on the attack. I mean, they were getting a bunch of 1-0 kind of resort, kind of barely scraping by, and eventually they win the supporter shield that year. So they're hoping that maybe that's going to be the same case. Maybe them fighting off some of this rust on the attack, and eventually things are going to click as the season goes along. But for NYCFC, I mean, I don't think it was a bad game for NYCFC, and considering the fact that they were also very shorthanded because of players missing due to international break, I thought the youngster and the replacement played relatively well in this game. They just couldn't find that clinical finishing in this one to at least get a point out of this game. With that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last two games to finish off part one of this review of match week number 5. So moving on, in the next game is Orlando and Austin. So this game actually didn't turn out to end 0-0 as I thought it was when I did the preview of this game, considering both of these teams have really struggled on the attacking end. And I would say that this is probably the second best game that Orlando's City had played, just as well as they did against Minnesota on the attacking end, at least for parts of the latter part of the first half and in the second half. But unlike the one that when they looked dominant against Minnesota, but came out on the wrong end because of poor finishing. At least in this game, they came on the right end and got all 3 points in this one. Early on, Orlando has most of the possession, but as expected, they were very lackluster in the final third. In fact, there was no shot in this one in the first 15 minutes in this game. It only took until the 17th minute when Rubio would have Austin and the game for a shot of the game, but he missed wide in this one. Little do we know that this would also be one of 3 shots that Austin FC would get in this entire game. Austin must be dead last in the league in terms of shots so far this season, because it feels like every single game in terms of the shots total they have hit very low in terms of that mark. And as a result, I think they're also probably dead last in terms of expectancy goals as well so far this season. For Holson, then miss high from long range, and then he basically boots one into the goal, because yeah, that was really badly hit there from Dagger for Halson. And really, that play kind of sums up the season so far for Orlando. They had some moments in terms of scoring. The finishing and final third play is just not there. O'Brien then did one better and basically puts it way high from long range. He must boots that one into Cape Canaveral there. And that's when I kind of feel like, you know what? Let's put a little banter and basically say that both teams know that, kicking field goal in this game doesn't mean goals in this one. I mean, this is not American football. We're here. When you aim toward the back row of the stands, you don't get 3 points in this one or get a goal in this game. And it feels like eventually one of these teams get the memo, and especially Jack Lynn gets the memo, because he would score in the 42nd minute as he scored there from for Halson to make it 1-0 in favor of Orlando City. That's his first career MLS goal. Lovely delivery there from Daggerdent for Holson, and then Jack Lynn being in the right place, right time in the back post. I mean, when you're a attacker, you're always taught to basically trying to attack that back post because that's where you can basically exploit the space. And Jack Lynn basically got that memo, and he was rewarded with him scoring his first career MLS goal and give Orlando a much-deserved 1-0 lead. In the second half, Ladero would then puts it wide from close range as Orlando was on the front foot again. They were pushing for another goal. Stewart would then deny Angulo from close range before Lynn would hit it right to Stewart in the 59th minute. But then in the 64th minute, Orlando gets that 2-0 lead. It's Nico Ladero doing Nico Ladero thing on the free kick. They're scoring to make it 2-0 in favor of Orlando City. I mean, that was just a vintage Ladero free kick. People forget that Ladero is one of the best free kick taker in the league, and during prime Ladero times, he's always very threatening in turn. So score on the free kick, and that was an example of it. So yeah, that made it 2-0 in favor of Orlando. Up to that point, the shots were 17-2 in favor of Orlando, and that's when I kind of just stopped watching this game and not really paid too much attention to this game because even though I know it's not a blowout, I knew Austin wasn't gonna get back into this game, and considering there was also three other games that's going on, I was paying more attention to that one. But in the 84th minute, Ladero would hit it right to Stewart, and yeah, in the end, Orlando they walked away with the 2-0 victory. The shots in this one, 22 shots compared to just three that Austin had. One shot on goal compared to eight that Orlando City has. Two shots off target compared to seven that Orlando City has. Seven shots that was blocked compared to none that Austin has. And possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that Orlando has in this game. So yeah, for Orlando, again, this is definitely one of their better performance that they put. But again, how much is that? Is because of the fact that they're playing against Austin. Because I feel like Austin maybe be a team that look like could potentially be contending for the wooden spoon this year. Because again, I know Austin has been able to get points, but let's be honest, they have not looked good whatsoever on the attacking end, especially on the road. I mean, there's been a couple of games on the road where they're basically getting outshot and just getting out dominated by their opposition like we haven't seen a lot road team has ever done, and this is definitely concerning if you're Los Verdes. Though I would say it's concerning, but also not a big surprise because that's just how bad things have got for Austin right now, and this is why I've said before that it feels like even though I know there are some teams that got less points than Austin, but you could argue Austin FC is probably the worst team right now in MLS. But that being said, moving on into the last game on this review is Vancouver and RSL, and I gotta say, this was a bit of a surprise. And I know that throughout this match week, I know that I was going to say that there's going to be some surprising resorts and some upset, but it's not really upset because the team that was supposed to be favorites coming into this game probably not are not anymore because of players missing due to international duty. But that's not the case in this one. I mean, both of these teams weren't really missing that many players due to international duty, and with the way that Vancouver was playing very well to begin the season and are kind of almost flying under everyone's radar, and RSL really kind of started to self-destruct ever since the Pablo Ruiz injury. I don't think a lot of people saw this one coming with the way that RSL would get the win and really dominate this Vancouver team, especially in the second half. In the 10th minute, first shot of the game, see Arango puts it over the bar before Raposo would cross it wide from close range. Gall then hits it wide from close as Vancouver started to put some sustained pressure and was looking for the opener. RSL, I thought, was playing a very high line, which sounds a very risky move to do because, especially when you play against Vancouver that's known to counter attack, that seems like a very risky kind of tactics that Pablo Mastroeni tried to do. But in the 33rd minute, Vancouver would take the lead, and it just feels like this was written in the start, wasn't it? Amir Krylak would score from Brian White to make it 1-0 in favor of Vancouver, and obviously Krylak, he did not celebrate whatsoever, and rightfully so. I mean, this has to be very bittersweet and probably hurt if you're RSL. Not just the fact that they conceded the opening goal, but to see your legend basically now wearing the white shirt of Vancouver, well, blue of course that is, because they're celebrating their 50th anniversary and score against you. I mean that definitely hurts to see. But the good news for RSL fans is that they eventually would win this game, as I said. But in the 39th minute, Arango did look for a response on the free kick, but he missed high there. And then Caternis puts it way high from long range in the 43rd minute. I thought it was a good response for RSL. They looked like they were looking to try to get the equalizer but we do head to halftime with Vancouver leading 1-0. In the second half, White did try to stab one in the front post, but he missed that one wide. And then speaking of the post, it denied Barajas from long range. Keep an eye on this Fidel Barajas kid. It seems like he's another one of those players coming out of that RSL academy that is going to make a huge impact to this RSL team in the future because he really played very well in this game. Julio then hits it right to Takuoka as RSL has woke up and they were pressing for the equalizer again in the second half. The post would then deny Vera from close range before a goal. On the other hand, hits it right to McMath in the 56th minute. Little do we know that that would be one of the rare chances that Vancouver would get in the second half because after Julio pulls it wide from close range, it was all RSL up to this point. They were putting a lot of pressure against this Vancouver for a team. But the question is, can they make that pressure pay off? Because we've seen before where RSL put a lot of pressure on opposition, but they just cannot find that goal to pay off the pressure. And really for Vancouver, I mean, they need to snap out of being pinned deep in their own end because they were defending very heavily. There was a lot of last ditch kind of defending that you just kind of had a sense that they got to ride out that storm. But unfortunately, they didn't because in the 70th minute, on the back of sustained pressure, Anderson Julio would score from Barajas to make it 1-0 in favor of RSL. And then 2 minutes later, RSL would turn this game on its head as Caternas would score from Barajas to make it 2-1 in favor of RSL. So told you that Fidel Barajas kid had a good game. I mean, getting 2 assists in this one. But yeah, that made it 2-1 in this one. The dam definitely has officially broke for Vancouver. I mean, the floodgates was definitely opening for RSL, and they were looking for a third one as Ojeda would then put one right to Takuoka from long range. But really, as the time winds down, RSL started to defend deep, and they were looking to try to hold out on to a big road win, and they do exactly that. As Vancouver really didn't offer too much resistance late in this game, despite there was 9 minutes of stoppage time in this one. Yeah, in the end, Vancouver, or not Vancouver, but RSL pull off a bit of a surprising result. A 2-1 road win against the Whitecaps. The shots in this one, 22 shots compared to 7 that the Whitecaps had. 3 shots on goal compared to 5 that RSL has. 9 shots off target compared to 3 that Vancouver has. 6 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Vancouver has. And possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45 possession that the Whitecaps has in this game. And for the Whitecaps, I know they've been getting off to a good start under Vanni Sartini, but this has got to be concerned. The fact that you know, they have dropped points in their first 2 game at home. Home form is supposed to be the strongest part of this Whitecaps team, but yeah, these first 2 games after dropping points against Charlotte and then now dropping all 3 points against an RSL team that looked like we're heading for uh the downward direction. Yeah, this was definitely they definitely will have to try to bounce back, and certainly for Vanni Sartini, definitely will have to be back in the drawing boards and trying to get this guy going because I mean it was kind of surprising to see how the Whitecaps playing so well in the beginning of the season, just getting absolutely shellacked by this RSL team in the second half and at home, nevertheless. You usually do not see that happen to Vancouver for at least in the last couple of seasons under Vanni Sartini. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of my review for all 6 of this game as part 1 of this review. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these games. And tomorrow I'll be doing part number 2, looking at the last 7 games to finish off match week number 5. But yeah, until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, of course, we'll see you guys next time.